bones or the ashes, the spirits light up the night.
Now, we're live from the Untold Radio Network. It's Untold Radio AM with MonsterQuest producer, host Doug Hajicek, and co-host Jeff Perrella Jr. Untold Radio AM is going live right now.
And here we are. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 249.
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yes. And happy Father's Day late to everybody. Did you have a good Father's Day, Jeff?
I worked all day. Talked to my dad, though.
You did get to see your dad?
I didn't see him. I just talked to him.
Oh, you talked to him. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way.
He's 3 hours away, so I don't see him as often.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, you're going to have to make up for it.
Yeah.
I'd still have to go up with you and meet your dad.
Yeah, I'd love that.
We got to make a trip up there.
For sure.
Jeff's dad, by the way, is really cool.
He is. So's my mom.
Yeah. Anyhow, so we have a really amazing guest tonight.
Absolutely.
Her online name is Terrestrial. I may want to call her Terrest, just so I don't get all tongue-tied. Can you say Terrestrial?
Terrestrial.
It's not that hard, I guess.
No.
Say it 20 times and probably come out all weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but she is ahead of the Sasquatch Data Project.
Yeah.
Cool she's
work.
doing a really amazing, I would say, genius level type data analysis
I
of
think she's on the right track.
so many things that we're going to get into tonight. I know it'll blow your mind. I really do.
Yeah.
This is so badly needed. Somebody has grabbed us and doing it.
Yeah.
So we'll have that coming up. We've got a really cool tech breakdown today. Very simple, and it's something you can do for about $27 or even cheaper.
Yeah.
That's really a cool idea. Did you have a chance to look at it?
I did. Yeah, it's a neat idea.
Well, yeah. That's just one of those cool things that just hit me. It literally hit me last night.
Yeah.
Because I've never even tried it. But anyhow, we're going to get into that. And then Sunday, obviously, was Father's Day, and I got to spend most of my day fishing with my grandson.
Oh, fun.
Which was really a blast. And he got 28 fish, and he was just so into it.
Great.
So it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. You should have seen the boat when we were done. Oh, my God. It was full of popcorn and worm dirt. You know, the worm dirt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Why did they put worms or night crawlers? Why did they pack it in jet black dirt? We used to be able to buy it packed in newspaper.
Oh, I never saw that. I've always seen it packed in dirt.
Oh, no. We used to buy it packed in newspaper.
Oh, no. That's before my
And it was just mess free. But now it's like, oh, my God. Anyhow.
I remember catching my first fish with my grandpa. That was pretty exciting.
But
I was a little kid.
I was thinking, there's Father's Day. Why isn't there like Grandfather's Day or Grandmother's Day?
Yeah. Why not?
And then I looked it up and there is.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
So apparently, let's see here. Grandparents' Day is Sunday, September 7th.
Oh, cool.
Grandmother's Day is October 12th, 2025. And Grandfather's Day is not till next. Now, next, we've already missed it. Grandfather's Day is Thursday, January 22nd. Now, who in the hell picked out this stuff?
I don't know. That should be more celebrated, though. They're good holidays.
Well, yeah. I just thought, because Father's Day actually means more and more to me as I get grandkids.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like that's the ultimate father because you still got your kids and then you got these sub kids. Is that what they are? Sub kids. And I was going to mention the Untold Radio Network and Hanger One Publishing is sponsoring another conference.
Yeah,
it's called the Crossing Realms Conference. It's going to be in Missouri, September 19th and the 20th.
Yep.
And there's a quick spot. Do you have it?
I do. Hold on.
Let's go ahead and run that. We can talk about
Crossing Realms Conference is coming this September 19th and 20th to the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri. Tickets to this landmark event are on sale right now at Eventbrite. The powerful speaker lineup will cover topics from Bigfoot, UFOs, and aliens, so you will not want to miss attending this amazing 2-day inaugural event. Again, that's the Crossing Realms Conference, this September 19th and 20th at the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri. Please mark your calendar and get your tickets before they vanish. Space is limited.
Yeah, that looks cool, man. I'm going to try to go to that. That looks cool.
And then please don't forget about the New York Bigfoot Conference coming up.
Yep.
By our own Loretta Collins, who, by the way, said she had pizza today, so I know she's feeling better.
Yeah.
Right, Loretta? You're feeling better if you're having pizza?
Yeah, that's good.
That stuff's good for you. Pizza's the best.
Kept me alive for a long time.
Jeff would know. Anyhow.
Yeah.
What else we got going on here? Well, that's probably enough of that small talk. Let's get this episode underway here.
The news coming up next. Here we go.
Little news.
Untold Radio news that can be a bit weird is right now.
First off, we have humpback whales, bubble rings, may be an attempt to communicate with humans.
Yeah.
Bubble rings. It's like smoke rings, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It says a huge ring in the water. Humpback whales caught blowing giant bubble rings underwater may have been an attempt of some kind to communicate with their audience. In other words, who's ever watching.
Yeah.
And they are known for blowing spiral bubble nets to hunt with, but not all bubbles have the same meaning in the world of whales, right?
Yeah.
Some are intended to be playful, some frisky, others are downright aggressive. So there you go.
That's really cool.
And there's, you've already got another photo. There may be another one there. It says 2 distinct bubble structures, including a bubble net, a bubble ring. To note they are different, very different physical structures. An international team of biologists and photographers reviewed videos and photos of whales producing bubble rings taken below the water by a swimmer or overboard from a boat and above the surface from either boat or plane or drone. And it says at least one bubble ring from each of 12 episodes analyzed in the study. It says this variety of source adds to the context which whales produce their rings. I thought maybe they're just farts, whale farts.
There's got to be meaning to them. I mean, they're all unique and repeatable and very specific. They're doing something.
But apparently they only blow these around humans, these certain types.
Interesting.
So there you go.
Yeah.
You'll have to do that next time you smoke a stogie, Jeff.
Yeah. I can blow rings.
Come on with some language.
Yeah.
Then a 2,000-year-old, now take this, giant leather shoe immediately drew impressed gasps from the people that found it. And this is interesting because I learned a few things. You probably knew all about these ankle breaker ruts that they would build in war.
Yeah.
You knew about that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that's where this shoe was found. It says after archaeologists pulled it from a ditch near a Roman fort in northern England, a large sole from a leather shoe was discovered at Magna, a Roman fort in northern England. Archaeologists have unearthed an enormous leather shoe while digging at the bottom of an ankle breaker, a defensive ditch at a Roman fort. Do you think they said Roman fort enough in that article? Roman fort. Like, okay, well, we got it.
Yeah.
But apparently this is pretty cool because
really cool.
A shoe is such a personal thing, right?
Yeah.
It didn't. One thing I really found interesting, nowhere did it say the size of the shoe. They said enormous.
Yeah.
But come on, measure the damn thing and tell us.
Yeah, it's definitely big.
The journalists nowadays. Yeah, I mean, it looks big, but I mean, it doesn't look that big. And that's from 122 AD, apparently.
That's
Well, there
really
you
cool.
go. There you go. Enormous shoe. You never know what you're going to find in your field.
They find all over Europe. They find crazy stuff left over from the Romans. We talked about that a while ago, coins
Yeah.
and whatnot, and yeah, they find all
Yeah,
kinds of
like
stuff.
the coins. They're quite affordable. You can buy Roman
Yeah.
coins.
Mhm.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Jeff's like, oh, yeah, you can get them on eBay really cheap.
Yeah, I have a bunch of them. They're cool. It's fun. You buy them all fully. They're muddy and crusted up, and you got to clean them. But yeah, there's piles of them buried all over the place.
Take all your loose change and exchange them for Roman coins on eBay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe they'll be worth something someday. And then it says the largest great white shark ever recorded, spotted near a
Largest male
famous
ever recorded.
vacation hotspot. And I read this and I'm going, that doesn't seem like the largest.
I think
14
largest
foot.
male.
Oh,
Usually
it's the
fe-
large.
usually-
Oh, I see. You
Usually
read the
females
fine
are a lot
points.
Yeah, usually females are bigger. In most
Well,
fish
thank you,
species,
Jeff. It says the biggest adult male great white shark ever to be recorded in the Atlantic Ocean was recently pinged off the coast of the Outer Banks in North Carolina. It says this is a 14-foot long shark, estimated weight 1,653 pounds. That is a big fish.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's called Oshirch. Oshirch. How do you pronounce that, Jeff?
I would say O-Search.
Osearch with a C. So it screws my brain up. Osearch is a global nonprofit organization that researches sharks, whales, sea turtles, and other ocean life to help scientists collect data in the ocean. The massive great white shark was tagged off Florida and the Georgia coast by Osearch in January. Since then, he's been tracked. See, you picked up on that male thing. I just missed that.
Yeah, because females are usually way bigger.
So it's been tracked up the coast. It says they call this shark apparently contender. Apparently, its dorsal fin must break water of an Argo satellite must be nearby to record. I see. So it's got to come up to the surface. It sent a signal up to the satellite. There you go. It's enough about sharks.
Yeah.
And then, speaking of fish, more than 1,000 fish hunters. Wouldn't those be called fishermen?
I would think so.
Why do you don't call them fish hunters? When I go fishing, I'm not a fish hunter.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call you up, Jeff, next week and go, hey, you want to go hunt some fish?
Let's go fish hunting. Sure.
It says more than 1,000 fish hunters. Oh, God. Fight back against invaders wreaking havoc on local rivers. And apparently this is in Malaysia. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, you guys got that coming. And I'm wondering, do they ever get North American fish that would invade, like walleyes and northerns and muskies? No, probably not.
No.
We get all their stuff. They don't get any of our stuff.
Yeah, there's reasons.
So more than 1,000 fish hunters fight back against invaders wreaking havoc in local rivers. It's better to take action than to just leave it alone, says the article. A group of Malaysian fisheries, over 1,000 members strong, have become fish hunters, scouring the local rivers for sucker mouth catfish. That's what that is. These are the ones that you buy and put them in the aquarium.
Yep, they're called
to like clean your glass.
Yep.
So I'm just wondering why they don't get any of our invaders, and all we ever get is an Asian invader of fish.
It seems they're a lot more careless about bringing stuff over here than
I don't know. I don't know if that's it. So apparently these things really do ravage the shores and the erosion and eat eggs and do a lot of damage to the habitat.
They grow really fast and they can live. They eat anything. They'll eat anything and they're tough and they live forever.
Yep.
And
do not
huge.
Yeah. Do not release your aquarium fish into the lakes and rivers, people. Please don't. And then speaking of more fish, Disc golfers. You know what disc golf is?
Oh yeah,
Frisbee golf.
never done it, but it looks fun.
They're been interrupted after a shark falls from the sky on a golf course. So there you go. There's the shark. And the first person who can tell me what happened here, I will send them free. I'll send them an LMS2 poster, a signed LMS2 poster. We'll roll up this beautiful poster, sign it, and get it off to you. But you got to be the first in chat to tell us how the shark fell from the sky.
I mean, I don't know the answer.
So I want to know. Okay, it was a bird species. Which one? So I'm giving you clues. Let's go. So bird drop, John that was right. But I want to know the species. Drop by a bird, yeah. Tornado, that's a good one. Sharknado, that's definitely a good one. I can't keep up here and all the people responding. Tornado. What bird dropped it? Eagle. Okay, we're getting close. Not an eagle though.
Oh. Not an osprey?
Osprey. Mary Jo, you won. You didn't win anything.
John said it first.
I'm just gonna send you.
John Ayers said it first.
Oh, he said osprey?
Yeah.
Well, let's send them both one.
Okay.
How's that? Can you get there? Just make sure you get to Jeff and send him your
email
address.
Me. I'll type my email in here again.
Yeah.
Jeff P at Untold
Good job.
Radio AM. Yeah.
It's still a weird event when a fish falls from the sky, right?
Yeah, especially a hammerhead shark, that would get my attention.
Yeah, I'd be a little weirded out. I would be. And then the next thing is giant jets bigger than the Milky Way are seen shooting out from a black hole.
Oh, wow.
And I always thought black holes suck everything in. They don't shoot out.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? So how can you call it a black hole then?
I don't know. That's crazy. I didn't know that was possible.
I think our guest, Terrestrial, might know. I know she's into space stuff.
Yeah, that's great. I have no idea how that...
You don't know? I don't know. Let's see what the article says. Giant jets bigger than the whole Milky Way were seen shooting from a black hole. A supermassive black hole in the early universe has been spotted blasting out powerful jets of plasma. There are at least twice as long as the Milky Way is wide.
That's crazy.
So there you go. So it spans, what is this? It says what a weird article. Spanning 215,000 light years from the end to end. That's how long it would take you to travel from end to end.
That's crazy.
Enough of that crap. So apparently we don't know anything about black holes now.
Not really.
Nothing. Apparently they spew light. And then humanity has just glimpsed part of the sun that we've never, ever seen. Humanity has just glimpsed part of the sun we've never seen before. It says it might look like a regular patch of the sun, but what you're looking at is an image of the sun's south pole. First time it's ever been glimpsed or studied. There it is.
That's really neat.
Oh, you got a little Giphy up there. A little GIF is moving around, so you can see it.
Oh.
It looks like the sky outside today.
Yeah, no kidding.
Our weather has been so weird. It's been like raining, on, off.
Yeah, it hasn't been great, and it's supposed to rain some more.
Yeah, so anyhow, that's it is interesting. It doesn't look very hot, does it?
Well, hard to say. It's...
So apparently the poles, so what I found most interesting in the article is that I didn't know the poles flipped on the sun in February.
Oh, I didn't either.
Yeah, and for anybody on Earth that think that has no effect on our weather, you got to be insane. Of course it's going to affect us.
Huge.
Yeah, it's got to. We're in a solar maximum, and then the poles, of course, have flipped in February 2025. Yeah, I didn't know this. Okay. Anyhow, next.
Pretty cool. Next.
Tech breakdown. We can whip through this thing really quick. I see our guest is in the back room.
Yep. Ready to go. Let's do the tech. I'll play the number.
Technological breakdown.
Okay. So this is a weird one. So throw up photo 10. People go, what? Throw up photo 10. Okay, so tonight I want to discuss basically an untried. I've never heard of anybody doing this. I have heard of people using a mirror out in Texas once with great success, suppose. And in fact, Chris Reinhardt's doing a show on that coming up. But in these mirrors. So that's maybe where I kind of spun the idea out. So what I'm talking about is using a two-way mirror. So that way your camera's behind a mirror, directly behind a mirror. You can disguise it with these flexible acrylic or even two-way mirror. They have two-way mirror film now they make. It's really cheap. You can get 4 panels for like $27. And the idea would be, I guess, okay, so what we're all after and what we all want to see is daytime close-up footage. Right. When I used to hang out with Matt Moneymaker, that was the first thing he taught me we need to see. Clear, keyword clear, close-up footage of a Bigfoot.
No more
now, what would happen if a Bigfoot caught his own reflection in something? Damn, he might actually spend time looking at himself.
Yeah. Thinking
it's either another Bigfoot. I mean, gorillas act quite indifferent at times with a mirror and they attack it. But I've also seen other footage where the gorillas are staring at themselves. Wouldn't that be ideal to get a Bigfoot, catch his own reflection and stare into the camera, and just really give us the footage we want?
That's a great idea. I'm surprised no one's ever done that.
No one's put a two-way mirror, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
If someone has, they've never told me.
Yeah.
But the idea would be that you're not going to see it's a camera anymore. So this is maybe not going to work with like IR lights reflecting back on it, bouncing around. Probably won't work at all at night. So you're going to want to do this with a constant on buffering camera system during the day. Because yes, Bigfoots do move around during the day. They're spotted all the time during the day. Yep. We all got to pee, right? We all got to have a snack, whatever. They may sleep a good part of the day, but I know they do get up. So, but anyhow, so even in the worst case scenario, you're going to have a little bit of light. It's going to drop the f-stop down about 30% probably, but on a bright day, that won't matter. In fact, you're probably going to get a better image on a bright day of a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The downsides of plastic mirrors like this, even though they are perfectly optically clear, is it will scratch easy. So you're going to want to clean it with light soapy water and maybe a very gentle microfiber cloth. But the upsides are it's flexible and breakable. It's a perfect mirror finish. You can see through the backside. It won't won't distort the image at all. Super cheap, and you can curve it around things.
Yeah, cool idea.
I really do. So all I'm doing, folks, use your own imagination on this stuff. Yeah. It's just, I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of an idea now. Take it to another level because you've already got the equipment.
Yeah.
Go spend another $20. Throw up the other film. I think I gave you a photo 11.
Yep.
This is the film you can buy. You can get it on Amazon. And it's like 17 inches wide by 78 inches long. $6.79 right now. So
And if you want to spend a little bit more money, there's tons of variety in window films. Just tons of variety of how opaque you want it, how much reflectivity you want.
well,
how
no,
much
you
UV
want it
you want.
100%. What I want them to try is 100% reflectivity.
Right.
100%. You want it a
Yeah.
mirror finish. This film
Sure.
is a true mirror finish.
Yeah.
The idea is you don't want the camera to be seen at all, just
Right.
their own reflection. The other thing it does is it's going to reflect the vegetation around it. And at the right angle, it'll just disappear.
Right.
It's just another thing to try. And I've always preached, the more steps that you take in any kind of an operation to try to get footage, the better chance you're going to have, right?
Yep.
So,
And the more people out there doing stuff, get everybody out there doing stuff.
goes along with, there's now camera traps that you can get, or surveillance cameras that are somewhat affordable, and they're thermal, right? Where you can leave a thermal camera out as a camera trap the whole time. Wrap like construction bag plastic around it, the green material, because it's completely transparent to the thermal cam.
Sure.
100%. And yet, you've hidden the lens, you've hidden all the buttons on it. It just looks maybe like a piece of garbage in the tree,
Sure.
like an old bag. But the thermal will not be affected by it at all.
Yeah, it sees right through it. It's like it isn't even there.
You'll still get great thermal images. So there you go.
Cool. Good idea.
Yeah, I think so. Let's do our picks, and then we'll bring on our guest.
Okay. Want to do some clips next? All righty.
All right, let's do clip 1 first, Jeff.
Okay.
Sound is good. So you own a store in
จะถอยออกแล้ว
Could you imagine?
ถ้าไม่ต้องตีตูดมันข้างหลังอ่ะ
I mean, an elephant in your store?
Yeah, that's pretty
ถอย
All right, it's enough.
ถอย
What are you going to do? All right, clip 2. Sound is good. Is this a river monster, or is this just a regular animal? So you guys are going to have to decide. It's not AI footage for sure. I was thinking it looked like a tapir or a tapir.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. It's got that long nose. I don't have no idea if it's really not sure. That picture looks like it. Huh.
So who knows? It's interesting. The music really adds to it, doesn't it? The sound effect. Okay. I did find it interesting how it dove underwater. I'm not aware, I haven't studied whether they actually swim.
Yeah.
Like, why would they go underwater? Usually deer, they swim, but they keep their head above
Yeah, it's a
water.
good point. That's interesting. Yeah,
So why don't you play it one more time without sound? So we can focus. So what in the hell is that thing? And it dives. There you go. It's not much to go on. It's not too much. All right.
Oh, no idea. Next.
All right. So the next thing is the sound is good. This is steam power on steroids.
3, 2, 1. Wow.
That's some serious steam.
Yeah, no kidding.
God, that would
Crazy.
be dangerous.
Oh, you're sitting on top of a. You're sitting on top of a bomb, basically.
That's nuts. All right. So clip 4, the sound is fine. And what is wrong? Okay, here's what I want the audience to do. Go ahead and tell me what's wrong. What are you noticing on this animal? It's an AI animal, AI created animal, but they look pretty real. But I want you to spot what's wrong with it. Who can spot first what's wrong with this animal? Jeff, you're involved. What's wrong with this thing?
The tail looks detached. That's kind of weird.
Okay. the tail. Anybody else?
Oh, it's only got 3 legs.
These are the things AI has a hard time with.
Yeah.
Fingers, toes, tails, any appendage. AI just keeps getting them wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But it does such a beautiful job with the face and the fur, and all that stuff is beautiful.
Yeah.
But look at the tail. It's like not even connected. Or one of the tails. It's got 2 tails. 2 tails. Yeah, there we go. All right. Clip 5. No sound. This is what happens when they have not seen a man yet. And this is like on Ellesmere Island up in the Arctic where wolves have never been hunted.
Wow,
they are
animals.
Just barely even wary. It's really interesting. It's why my company, I call it White Wolf, because it was based on watching a film that a friend of mine did, Jim Brandenburg, up in Ellesmere Island. And the wolves were just completely just ignored them. They could go hunting with the wolves when they'd hunted muskox. They could join the hunt. They could crawl into a wolf den, and the wolves just did no problem.
Wow.
So there you go.
That's cool.
And I've been up in the Arctic where the wolves would come up to our tent camp and we'd feed them by hand. Just come right up to us. No fear at all. Wild, big white wolves. Yeah, it's really cool.
Imagine that's how they got domesticated. Just coming up to the
exactly.
To the camp.
All right. Clip 6. Sound is good. This is a glitch in the matrix involving AI, I guess. It's a story. Just go ahead and play it.
This is weird. We're talking like they're watching us weird. Glitch in the matrix weird. Like, so 2 nights ago, I posted something here on TikTok. My daughter filmed me when I answered the phone with an AI. You can scroll back, you can watch it. It's like 3 before this video, right? And it was an AI, and the AI called herself Nicole. And I wanted to trick it. I wanted to prove that it was an AI because I had never had a call from an AI before. And at one point, you'll see this in the TikTok. At one point, I asked it to sing me happy birthday, and it wished me happy birthday. And I said, no, I want you to sing it. And it started talking in like a higher pitched voice, and I made fun of it, whatever. And I said goodnight and hung up, and I didn't think anything of it because it's AI, right? It's just software, right? I am currently in Pennsylvania for the Northeastern Regional Baton Championships, and we have to eat at restaurants. So my daughter and I go to Friendly's, and we're leaving, and she said, Mommy, I have to go to the bathroom. So I pay, she runs to the bathroom, and I sit down, and there's like a little red bench, like by where you pay and whatever. And I'm sitting there, and this family comes out, and it's a mom, a dad, a grandma, and 2 little girls. And one little girl has a birthday crown on, and she, adorable, just cute little button, comes up and she goes, hi, talking to a stranger. And I'm like, hi, honey. And she's like, it's my birthday. And I'm like, oh, happy birthday. And she goes, no, I want you to sing it. But I don't think anything of it, right? So
That's
I'm like,
good.
okay, sweetheart,
You get the idea.
what's your name?
Yeah.
She goes, Nicole.
It's kind of freaky.
Nicole.
Yeah.
But I'm still
Freaky.
Next.
All right. Clip 7 is really crazy. It's a real short clip, but just go ahead and play this.
Are you getting this on tape?
Yeah, that
A lot of
is weird.
space junk, probably.
Oh my gosh,
Oh
look
my
at that.
gosh.
I think this
I'll
was
send you this in a
recorded
minute.
over Turks and Caicos.
That
My
is
goodness.
amazing.
It's coming across us.
A hell of a sight.
What time is it there?
5:30.
Space junk, Jeff?
Oh my God,
Yeah,
Mom!
looks like
You aren't going to believe this.
What is that?
What is that?
Yeah, I can't imagine.
something blew up.
All right, that's enough of that. Clip 9. Sound is good. And it's just amazing. I see this all the time. A lot of people don't realize how trees, I mean, they really want to
9?
survive. Go ahead and play clip 9.
You skipped clip 8. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, sorry. All right. Go ahead and skip. We'll do clip 8 next.
Okay. Yeah, hold on. Pulled up 9 here. Here we go.
This is nuts. Look at this. All right, so you see like the little tree, and there's like this right here. That's wood. Do you want to know why? Because the tree is growing through the street sign all the way up and all the way out the top into a full tree. Look at this.
Anyhow, all right. Let's do clip 8.
Alice.
Biggest, baddest dog out there. All right.
It probably has an attitude. The little dogs always have.
Oh, they do. What's with that? They really do get an attitude.
Yeah.
Clip 10. This is apparently happening at Walmart.
This is the first of its
Gotta
kind.
get used to it.
He just sized that guy up. Just keeping Walmart safe. The streets of Walmart are rough.
Cat got your tongue?
Oh, what'd you say?
What's your name?
We don't have a name yet.
All right.
Yo, Walmart has
The reason
got
I
security
wanted to play that
a rope
is I was at the grocery store shopping, and there was a robot cleaning crew cleaning the aisles, and it was driving me crazy. The whole time I shopped, these robots followed me everywhere I went, and I was always in their way, and they were always in my way during the day.
Yeah.
That was at Cub Foods. Drove me nuts.
There's a restaurant near us that has a robot that delivers food to tables. It's an Asian restaurant.
Oh,
it's kind of wild.
I'm just saying, we got to get used to this, I guess, but
Yeah.
it was kind of freaking me out the
coming.
other day. Because I kept thinking they're going to run me over. They're big. These things were huge.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you think there's going to be an accident. Somebody's going to get hurt, and then what? Who's liable?
I don't know.
Crazy.
Clip 11 sound is fine. How do you get a 400-pound bear out of your truck?
All right, go ahead and unlock it. Sure? Yep, that's sure as I'm gonna be.
Oh my god.
Oh, oh,
Oh, jeez.
oh.
Big dude.
Yeah. Oh, man. No fun.
And speaking of big, clip 12. No, I don't play any sound in this, but this butterfly is about as big as a bear.
Wow. That thing's massive.
Now, did I take time to research? Is this AI? I don't think so. I think it's real.
I don't know. It's humongous. Wow.
There you go. Clip 13, no sound. Husband apparently invented a new type of alarm clock for his wife. Do not try this at home. That's just struck me as funny. I don't know why. Okay, Jeff.
I love
no
it.
more fun for you.
Okay, I like
That's
that one.
it. That's it. That's it. That's it. All right, our guest.
Sorry, I thought that was
Okay, you're about to meet an extremely smart person, but we're going to take a really quick break. I think you got a commercial. You got a quick run. So go ahead and run that little commercial, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to meet one of the smartest people you'll ever meet. Go ahead.
Born Wild, Coda's Odyssey is finally here from Hangar One Publishing. After a 16-year career in law enforcement, Brian King Sharp turned his passion into a hobby by starting a podcast. Unexpectedly, this hobby evolved into something much greater. By 2022, his Sasquatch Odyssey podcast had become one of the most popular shows in the realm of Sasquatch encounters. In the ancient forests of the Olympic Peninsula, young Sasquatch Coda faces a world on the brink of change. As his family fights to survive human encroachment and ancient threats, Coda must uncover what it means to belong and protect those he loves. Coda's Odyssey is a thrilling tale of courage, family, and the secrets hidden in the wild. Available now. Begin the journey today.
That's cool. He's been a guest too. He's a good guest.
Yeah, he's a good guy. All right.
Yep.
Where are we at here? Okay. Her online name is Terrestrial. To protect her identity as a scientist, as many scientists I meet usually don't even want to go public. So she's already kind of sticking her neck on the block. But she has started the Sasquatch Data Project. Okay. And this was founded and run by our guest. Apparently, she had an interest in Bigfoot and began at the age of 5. I hope it was because she watched MonsterQuest. Maybe not. And apparently this interest has obviously grown, and she's really putting a lot of work into this. Terrestrial has a Bachelor of Science in Earth and Atmospheric Sciences from the Georgia Institute of Technology, and is also currently pursuing a Blue Ridge Naturalist certification. It says, while an undergrad at Georgia Tech, she played an integral role in categorizing, identifying, and measuring ground ice features on the dwarf planet Cirrus as part of NASA's Dawn mission. She first authored a paper published in JGR Planets and co-authored a number of papers while working on the mission. In 2023, she decided to devote her time into creating the ultimate data resource to aid in research of North American, soon to be known, in her opinion, as the new great ape, the Sasquatch. So let's welcome Terrestrial to Untold Radio.
All right, and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me.
Hey, see if can I call you Terrest?
Yeah, you can call me whatever.
Okay. Anyhow, I'm just worried I'm going to get tongue-tied at some point. But we met through Jeff Smith.
Yes.
And Jeff is a really good guy and really into Bigfoot. And he just thought, hey, you need to meet Terrestrial. And we did. And here you are.
Yeah,
so,
I'm just so excited. I'm so thankful that Jeff put us in touch and that we got to meet, because you played a huge role in my interest initially into Sasquatch and Bigfoot.
I was guessing that, but
yeah.
did you watch MonsterQuest at all when you were young?
I did, but it was Legend Meets Science that got me into it. Yeah.
Me too. 100%.
Okay. I say when you were young, you're still very young. And that's what's so exciting. The fact that you are so young, and I think, what can you accomplish by the time you're my age?
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is going to be my career. This is going to be what I do. I work on this project full time.
Wow.
And it's just what I love. It's definitely what I'm passionate about.
That's great.
So, okay, what I want to do today, I think would be really fun. Let's go through just a jillion of these categories. You've posted a lot of videos. I did get a chance to watch a lot of them. They all made me think. And the first thing that really hit home is, the condition of the hair when people witness these creatures. And I saw one that apparently had just bathed, and it was like drying off at the side of the road, lit up by the headlights. I was with Yvette when we saw it, and it was, we got within 4 feet of it, lit up in my bright, halogen headlights. So we could really see deep into its, we could see its skin under its hair. We could see muscles. We could see all sorts of details, but it had its back to us. Damn it. But the hair looked so beautiful. And you have a theory on this based on all of the data you've collected and all the eyewitness reports on how the hair may affect the group size that they live in or the family size. Because some people report these things with matted, nasty, really nasty hair. So go ahead and why don't you expound on that a bit?
Yeah. So, I'm pretty interested in this. I will say the majority of reports that I've gone through claim that the Sasquatch had like really nasty, matted, shaggy hair. That's the vast majority. Basically, when you look at the other great ape species,
Well, you froze for just a second. Don't move. I hate that.
Oh, if you can hear her, she might have to. She might have to.
Yeah, you might have to reboot. You just froze up completely.
Can you guys hear me? I'm so sorry.
There we go.
Okay.
Somebody probably turned on a Disney movie somewhere in the neighborhood.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's been weird all day. But if we look at the other great apes, like you can tell a lot about their family dynamics and their group sizes based on their hair condition. So if you look at the chimpanzees, they're typically very clean. They spend a large portion of their time social grooming. And they have, troop sizes that are large enough to accommodate that. You have enough individuals within the troop to, these individuals will go hunt. These are focused on this other thing. And then you have, individuals that are left to do what? Well, they socialize. If you look at gorillas, the dominant male is typically cleaner than the other males. It gets more attention. The females are cleaning the dominant male more than the other ones. So you can kind of tell, not only from the silverback size or whatever, that it's the dominant one, but also by looking at how clean it is compared to the others, that's the, dominant male. And then you have the orangutans who are highly solitary, and they're typically really disheveled looking and very gross. So I have this idea, and all of this is extremely preliminary. Like I haven't gone through the entire data set, but it is interesting that we do see that the majority of reports are claiming that the Sasquatch was pretty nasty and dirty, with matted hair that hasn't been cleaned or washed in a while. So
can you correlate to the size of the ones that are nasty compared to the hair condition? I would just guess that a lone male that gets kicked out of the group is going to have the nasty hair, not the female.
So I have looked at this, and as things stand right now, there's not a difference. There's not a difference between hair condition and height. That could change as I get through more data, but yeah.
But you see how the data just threw my theory out.
Well, it's funny because that's part of the reason I wanted to create the Sasquatch Data Project is to, give the Sasquatch community a resource they can use to base their ideas on with at least some kind of data, right? Like, and in this case, it's witness data. So that's actually a big part of the reason why that I started this. Because it all kind of started too with the question of, I heard someone say that Sasquatches are more active under full moons. And I sat there and thought, well, we don't know that though. Like no one has looked into that. No one has run data analysis to back that up. And I realized I could do that. I'm like, well, that would be easy to calculate. And, we have all these witness reports, like I can just do that. So that's kind of how I got started. But yeah.
Okay. But so my theory was that they were more active when there was no moon or very little moon. And it frustrated me always, especially when I'm up in Canada trying to get footage of them, because they seem to come around during no moon. And when it's a beautiful moon where you can get low light footage, they don't come around.
Yeah, so as things stand right now, there are two primary peaks in at least the number of reports that witnesses bring forward. The first one is during new moon conditions, from 0 to 20% moon illumination. The second one is from 80 to 100%. So I will say, though, the new moon rise in reports is not statistically significant from the number of reports in the middle values, but the increase in sightings, at least those that are reported, that is statistically significant from the middle report, or the middle moon illumination report frequencies. And this is pretty interesting because it goes along with known nocturnal predator behaviors. We see this in other nocturnal predators. Their activity levels rise during this time. So it's pretty interesting that we're also seeing this in the witness reports.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And you use BFRO data, correct? Isn't that your main?
For right now, the public BFRO dataset is my main source of information, but the ultimate goal is to expand this out into other datasets. And I'm actually working on a way to do that, because right now it's just me, going through reports, and it takes a long time, especially when you're dealing with, 150 different variables. But yeah, working on expanding that out.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the moon. Okay, so so you don't have as many sightings during the full moon, correct?
No, we do. Yeah,
Oh, you do?
have, yes, the full moon conditions has the highest increase in sighting reports.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you think they're the most active?
I don't know.
You don't know yet. Okay.
This is where, it's not clear if this is due to a human reason,
Right.
or if this is, a more animal reason, or, potentially it could be a psychological thing where people are, they kind of like memory anchor to certain environmental characteristics, and full moons are one of those things. So potentially people, will report more due to this memory anchoring of the full moon. But it is interesting.
But isn't it also easier to see them during a full moon? So that's what stinks about some of these categories.
So
It's like-
actually, it's not, which is really surprising. I thought that was, I thought that too. And I went and read some papers, and they actually found that the difference in illumination between a full moon and a new moon is not enough for humans to really get any advantage from it. But it is enough for nocturnal predators.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, there you go. So there's a lot of false theories that I've developed. I bet you I'm littered with them. Maybe you're going to clean me out today of all of my, and they're all just, I call them diarrhea theories, because they're not based on anything scientific, right? It just, all I can do is base it on my own experience.
Yeah. And that's valuable too, though. Like we have to look at things from all angles, right? Like if we want to find the answers.
Yeah. Well, somebody had asked a question. Let me see here. What is the most surprising, here it is. What is the most surprising pattern that you've uncovered so far? Has there been a pattern that you're just like, damn, that was kind of interesting? I didn't expect that.
I would say the moon illumination stuff was my first kind of aha moment. Like, oh my gosh, like this is really cool. And it got me really motivated to like pursue filling out the data set. But the thing that has kind of my full attention right now is this relationship between a witness's fear level during the sighting and their estimated height of the Sasquatch. And so I wrote kind of like a paper on this. It's on my website. Anyone can go read it.
Yeah, and Jeff, if you've got any photo, I know that Jeff downloaded a ton of material from your site, and you could call out. He could probably find certain things too if you want to put some charts up and things.
Yeah, so
there you go.
There we go. Yeah, and so I wrote a paper on this whole idea and these preliminary findings at least, that as a witness's fear level increases, so does the average height of the Sasquatch that they are reporting. And this is pretty cool for a number of reasons.
Well, not only is it cool, but I've never even thought of things like this.
Well, I don't know. I think I was thinking about or somebody had mentioned once, like, oh well, the Sasquatch could have looked bigger because they were really freaked out. Like, this is a psychological thing that happens. And I was like, oh, you know what? I could go find that out. So I looked into the data set and basically categorized every, Class A sighting report that I could with a fear level, and then made the box plot. But yeah, as witness fear level increases, so does the average height of the Sasquatch, and the difference in the averages from the elevated and extreme fear groups is statistically significant from those that we're seeing in the mild fear groups.
But how do you weed out what came first, the chicken and the egg? Were they more afraid because it was bigger? Or?
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like, either there's kind of two sides to this coin. The person was more freaked out because they were witnessing a larger animal, or it's this psychological phenomenon that they call fear-induced size distortion. Scientists love to kind of like torture arachnophobic people, apparently, because there's so many papers on them exposing arachnophobic people to spiders and then seeing how large they think the spider is. And people can overestimate the size by up to 30%. So like when they're in that heightened state of fear. So when we're talking about, like a 6 or 7 foot animal, that quickly tacks on a couple feet to their size estimate. So it's pretty interesting. And once you consider too, like the difficulty, if all of these reports were hoaxed, like the sample that I looked at was from a time span of 60 years over 17 different states. So it's like,
wow,
that would have to be the ultimate hoax, right? To get the data to line up in that way. So yeah, it's super cool. That's probably one of my favorite things that I've found so far.
It's just, I mean, it's fascinating. And I had never thought about that. It's like, just never even occurred to me. So that's where I'm like, okay, are you, like, what kind of genius level are you if you're even coming up with these concepts? Because these are completely fresh concepts.
I just think about this stuff a lot. Like, I've kind of been marinating for like 20 something years.
Marinating, okay.
Yeah, like just, I don't know. I've just been really interested in this since I was, like I said, like 5. And it's just something that I'm really passionate about. I don't know. I probably think too much about it. I'm always thinking about like, what's the next thing that I could go look at? That's kind of like, the way I think about it is it's almost kind of like a back door into figuring out, okay, what's the likelihood that all of this is hoaxed?
Yeah.
Like trying to find these subtle patterns that you wouldn't necessarily think of if you're hoaxing something, and then the difficulty to even hoax that over such a large time span or geographic area.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly thinking about that stuff.
Well, that's just like I said. These are. I've been at this for, man, you want to admit how long. And there were so many fresh ideas, and that's where I really get hopeful. I'm thinking, because that's what this whole mystery needs, is a fresh look at it, fresh eyes, coming up with new ways to look at all this data. People always say, well, there's no data. There's nothing. We don't have. And it's like, how much data do you actually have? I mean, you could work with what you have already probably for the next 30, 40 years.
Yeah. I mean, I'm about to hit 2,000 reports that I've gone through. I've actually just come up with a system to expedite this parsing process exponentially. I've basically like decreased the amount of time it takes me to parse reports by 70%, which I'm really excited about. I should have the entire public BFRO data set done in a couple of months instead of years. So But yeah, I mean, the data that I have parsed so far, I definitely have like enough to evaluate, and I don't know if come to conclusions is the right term, but at least start thinking about what the patterns are saying. It's definitely, for a number of these questions, there's enough data to start doing that.
All right. What is the average? We were talking about height. And so what is the average height of a Bigfoot that you've kind of come to a conclusion on? Because we were talking about, obviously, the fear level, how it affects what people report. But what is your conclusion so far on average height?
Yeah, so far, the average is 7.5, 7.5 feet. And the middle 50% of heights reported is between 7 and 8 feet. So, I struggle with this a little bit just because of the potential preconceived notion of, the height a Sasquatch should be, I guess. A lot of people, I actually took a poll once on Instagram, and because I was curious what people thought, if you had to guess how tall a Sasquatch was, what do you think? What would it be? And the majority of people said between 7 and 8 feet. So it's like, okay, so when people are having these experiences, are they actually, seeing a creature of that size, or are they saying, in their head, oh, that's a Sasquatch, that must be 7 to 8 feet. So that's the current, that's at least what the data is currently saying. And I'm also interested in like regional differences too in witness reports. And as things stand right now, there's no difference between the average heights of Sasquatches from the southern USA and the western USA.
Okay, southern and western. What about southern and far northern?
So when I say west, I'm including Alaska, California, Oregon, like Pacific Northwest.
So Bergman's law doesn't maybe apply to these creatures?
I don't know if it doesn't apply, but at least what I've gone through so far, there's just not, a statistical significance between there's no significance between the average heights. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, that could even mean or point to more migration, where the southern ones are ones that also travel up north a bit. I guess if Bergman's law doesn't apply, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Really interesting. I guess.
Yeah, I agree. That would indicate more migration.
I would think. But once again, these are just I have diarrhea theories. They're not real theories. They're just really bad, That's why I'm just impressed by this stuff. By the way, we definitely got to get you hooked up with Carl Supp. He's also a data guy, and he's a guy who travels around the country and for business, but he goes out and does Bigfoot expeditions everywhere. But he does statistics, and I just think you guys should meet.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm always down to talk data. That's for sure.
That's
Carl can do that. All right. So if you guys have questions in the audience, please, put them in all caps, just like this. Any significant correlation between specific weather conditions, like temp shifts, precipitation, fog, or seasonal changes?
Yeah, so the vast majority of sighting reports happen when the weather is explicitly clear, meaning like no clouds or very little cloud cover. And I haven't looked into temperatures, I will say that, or precipitation. I am keeping up with those things in my data set, but I just haven't run analysis on it. But there's a definite seasonal trend pattern happening. There's a significant increase in sighting reports during the summer and fall. Why this is, who knows? It could be more human. It could be more of an animal thing. This was also another component of my paper that I wrote, was looking into this pattern. And because people are more active in the summer and the fall. They're hiking, they're hunting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like hunting opens up in the fall. Someone did write a paper once where they found that people travel further into more remote areas during the fall, for hunting and whatnot. So that was interesting. So that could, potentially explain this rise in sighting reports. Or it could be more, of an animal thing where potentially they're following the food sources, or it could be breeding seasons. Unclear, but there is a significant increase in sighting reports during those 2 seasons.
See, I came to the conclusion, one of my really bad conclusions, that they don't like rain. Because albeit, in certain areas where they don't come around when it's raining. And I'm like, well, why would a big animal like that be afraid of the rain when they have so much, hair to shed the rain off? But I've just noticed they don't come around, but that could be complete BS. Have you noticed any, just complete lack of sightings in the rain?
Not a complete lack. There are definite sightings that happen during the rain. Actually, just went through one earlier today out of California. So yeah, and I've gone through a handful too where it was storming outside, and those are typically residential sightings, which is interesting. People are letting their dogs out during storm, and then they have some kind of encounter. But the vast majority, I always hesitate to give numbers when I don't have a specific number, but well over 90% of sighting reports happen during clear weather. I haven't really specifically looked into sightings that happen during the rain or not, though. I always thought maybe it was just because people aren't out, in the rain, more likely to be out. But I have, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, a lot of animals bed down. I mean, deer, for example, deer will bed down during the rain. So who knows?
Yeah.
I just think it's so interesting. And one of the things that really kind of made me, I've never had a direct experience, but I would put myself in the believer camp, is the thing that just always fascinated me is all this data, especially old data. You go through it and it's so predictive of natural patterns. I mean, the size data, Matt Pruitt's book goes over this really well. The size data is it's in a natural distribution, like a bell curve. Which, if it was hoaxed, that would never happen. You would have weird stuff. So I mean, seeing all this stuff, even if you can't draw conclusions, seeing all this data match up, on a standard mathematical distribution, it's just fascinating because it just indicates that it's a real animal. What is that? I mean, would you agree that kind of how you see it?
Yeah. Are you finding that basically?
I mean, that's essentially what my paper is on, is arguing that, we have these different patterns in these independent variables that are all happening simultaneously. And that's the exciting part. Like it's so crazy. And they mimic, things in nature. They mimic
100%.
These natural patterns. So
absolutely.
There's absolutely something going on. And that's 100%. What's so cool, because it would just be I basically calculated the chances that these patterns that I saw in the data would happen all at once. If everything was randomly hoaxed, if people were just randomly hoaxing stuff, and it came back, the probability was far less than 1%. It's way less than 1%.
It's unthinkable.
Can't you actually prove the species through this kind of data, because it gets beyond any chance of coincidence?
I wish that you could, because for me, it's the thing that I've always really thought that they existed, and I've always really been in the, I guess, believer camp. But when I started to really dig my hands into the data and look at these patterns, that's the thing that pushed me over and was like, okay, there's no doubt in my mind now.
Me too.
Yeah. And it's so cool, but no, we need the DNA.
Okay. Can you explain just a little bit, longer or more in depth on what convinced you they're real?
Yeah. So, for me, honestly, like ever since I saw Legend Meets Science, I remember watching that, and my brain just kind of like exploded. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy that we have these things, around us. And I kind of just, I don't know if I think it was like a gradual progression over time of me really becoming honestly comfortable in the fact that I really thought that they were real. Because I remember watching like Finding Bigfoot in middle school and going, oh my gosh, like, yeah, this is real. So between 5 and middle school is when I like was at that 99% mark. But when I had this initial question of, okay, are they more active under full moons? What got the Sasquatch Data Project started? And I started going through these reports, and I remember getting through the first 500, and I ran that analysis on the moon illumination data and seeing this very natural progression of, the increases at the new and the full moons, and then this very distinctive, there we go, very distinctive minimum in these middle moon illumination categories. And that was the thing where I went, oh my gosh, like we are dealing with an animal. Like this mimics natural animal behavior to a T. Yeah. If you showed this to someone and said, hey, these are sighting reports of bears, does this make sense? They would say, yeah, that's what bears do. So that was the moment for me that I'm such a nerd. I have like goosebumps right now because I'm like, that was the moment where everything clicked for me and I got really excited. Yeah.
That's a great analogy on the bears.
Well, that's what I mean. And all this data was collected before anybody collected those dots. So if anybody if anybody really was that insidious to try to hoax all this, nobody would have thought to do all that stuff. It doesn't make sense that it's not a natural phenomenon. It has to be, in my opinion. It just has to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these patterns that I'm finding in the data, these that are connected to what we see in the natural world, I guess. Like, like you said, the data was, I guess, created prior to those ideas even being in scientific literature. So that's my next project is actually like kind of looking into this in a way, and only using reports before a certain time period. And I don't want to go too far into it. I'm actually I've just finished what I need to finish to really get started into it. So next week I'm like ready to dig in, but
cool.
That's going to be my next thing where I'm kind of looking at that because that'll be extremely compelling too.
Well, explain some of the outputs that you're going to be putting out. Somebody had mentioned Python, a library, and so on. What format are you going to have these databases and reports out in? Are you going to put them out in several formats or just one, or what's your plan?
Yeah, so the data set is currently available. Anyone can go and download it like right now. It is, not finished. I send out one update a month. I'll send out an email and give you the new version. But the format it's available in is I give people a CSV and also an XLSX file. So you can put it in Excel. I wouldn't recommend doing data analysis with it in Excel just because I've kind of set it up more for Python and R coding, and more like keyword searching and whatnot. But I'm not really an Excel person, so someone who's really good at Excel can probably like figure out how to use it. But it's available in both. I do highly recommend though, if anybody does use it, like try R or Python first, because that's what I've kind of created it to be used for. It's just easier to traverse.
Very interesting. And so is your goal to just continue to raise the bar, or do you actually have something loftier? Do you want to just tell me what's the end goal for you?
Yeah, the end goal is kind of constantly changing for me. Because when I first set out on this, the end goal was, well, I want to get through all the BFRO reports and have one massive, comprehensive open source data set that people can use for data analysis. And I'm getting through that. And then I have more ideas. So I guess right now, my main goal is to get through the BFRO data set. I have some things in the works that I can't really discuss right now. Hopefully I'll be able to discuss them in the fall. And I think that'll kind of help guide where I go with this, but I do want to keep, I do want to keep raising the bar. I really want to encourage folks to have numbers and data to back up these ideas that we have about, Sasquatches, whether it's their behaviors or physical traits or, whatever it is. So those two things are my main goals right now. But I'm also really interested in AI and how we can be using that too as a tool for Sasquatch research. So currently right now, I've created this AI pipeline where basically I'm using a couple different models, and I've kind of pieced together this whole thing to take in reports for me and automatically go through them and parse them out. But I am really wanting to build upon this idea. I'm not going to go too far deep into that right now. But
do you think Chat GPT or whatever these chat formats, these AI formats, do you think in the future, let's just talk 5-10 years in the future, is that going to be a huge aid to you?
It already is.
Oh,
yeah. So when I use AI, I'm not using the websites. So you can go to chatgpt.com or claudeai.com or whatever. They have APIs that you can tap into to get to the foundation models. So every LLM that we're interacting with, on a website, has what they call a system prompt. So when you interact with it, a prompt goes to the foundation model with whatever you said to produce a result. But what I'm doing is accessing the foundation model, the model at its core, and giving it my own prompt and my own information that isn't, I guess, clouded by the system prompt. And I'm able to automate these tasks using that. But yeah, it's already increased my or decreased the time it takes me to get through reports by 70%.
Yeah.
I can get through 100 reports now in 2 days, or a day and a half. So yeah, it's really exciting, and I hope that other people too will figure out ways to use AI as a tool. Definitely don't use it for data analysis. They're not made for that, but use it as a tool for research.
Well, I just, a gentleman I know, he was using AI to analyze fingerprints.
Mm-hmm.
Feeding these in and just to see what it would come up with. And it was quite interesting. It's kind of promising,
Mm-hmm.
for the layman to be able to, input that. But then I'm like, well, that doesn't mean much to a fingerprint expert at all, at this point.
Yeah.
But if it helps you just become more efficient,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big deal.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause it was going to take me at least 2 years to get through all the BFRO reports. And yeah, when we're talking about AI too,
well, can you give me, okay, well, let me interrupt you. Can you give me an example? Can you say can you tell it to pull out certain data and that it will do?
Yes.
Can you grab all of the nighttime reports?
Yeah. So, okay. So I'll go down my mini tangent really quick.
Okay.
So when we're dealing with AI like ChatGPT or Claude AI, at the end of the day, they're really just predicting text. They have no idea what the words you're feeding it actually mean.
Right.
They're just predicting what you want to hear.
Yep.
So I hesitate to give it data for analysis to tell me something about the data because they're not built for that. So when you So if I gave it like a bunch of nighttime reports and said, give me statistics back on this group of reports, it would probably be wrong. Because it turns out these models are actually really bad at just basic counting. Like if I give it my data set 3 times, it'll give me 3 different numbers for how many columns it has. So when I'm interacting with these models, it's really just for like pulling text out. It's really just for like looking for certain details, pulling it out, putting it into my format that I want it in for my spreadsheet. So, yeah.
That's been my experience too. I agree 100% with everything you just said. It's great for pulling data out, but don't ask it to analyze anything because I agree.
Yeah. And that's where like fine tuning models is going to be really important. If we're wanting to do data analysis, especially on things like photos or, my data set eventually, essentially what you can do is grab one of these foundation models and you fine tune it to your data. So like if you have thousands and thousands of data points, you can train that model to specifically look at like this one type of data, become an expert, and then we can use it for analysis or whatever we're wanting to do with it. But I hesitate to recommend people use like what we see through a website or whatever, like the GUI through the website for data analysis, because the models just aren't built for it.
So what about, there's so many questions coming in. What about some of the fringe stuff? I don't think there is much of that on the BFRO to begin with, correct?
Correct.
So you're not looking at it because why look at that when it's not even really available there? I don't think that, is there any of that? I can't even remember. By the way, I used to be a BFRO investigator.
Yeah, I've gone through some of your reports.
Oh God, it was horrible. I was like probably Matt's worst investigator. But I do know that they're probably gathering more information nowadays than we did back years and years ago. Is that true? Because I'm not really familiar with what they're gathering now.
Yeah, so, to touch on the first part, I've only gone through like 3 paranormal reports. One was like, actually 2 were like werewolf reports in Georgia, which was interesting. And then the other one had to do with some lights. But, at least on the public side of things, it's pretty hit or miss on if the follow-up investigator report has, more information than what the witness initially produced, or at least what they're putting on the website. So it's really just dependent on that follow-up investigator. Some of them give me a ton of information and it's fantastic, and then some give me nothing. So yeah, it just depends.
Well, I do know that we're getting some very smart people in chat. There's a thing up. Can you read that?
Yeah, and I would love to touch on this if I could, because this is a question I get asked a lot.
Yeah, because not only that, but wouldn't you encourage some of these really brilliant people that like are in chat right now to get a hold of you to, I don't know if you can team up, or are there people that can help you basically?
Yeah,
or do you want to just work solo?
Up until now, I've just been working solo, just so that the data gathering is consistent. Because I have like a pretty particular format that I follow, and like just this whole schema in my head, I guess. But people are more than welcome to reach out to me and ask questions. I'm always happy to email or chat about data stuff. Absolutely. But yeah, so the question about web scraping,
yes,
I get asked that a lot. So here's not the problem, but the difficulty with web scraping. I very quickly found out that witnesses will describe things in 1,000 different ways. Some are very upfront and they're like, the hair color was brown. It was this tall. And when you're web scraping, you're looking for very particular groups of words or phrases or numbers. But then you also have these edge cases where a witness might say, the Sasquatch had hair like a golden retriever. And then that's how they describe the hair. If you're web scraping, you're going to miss that potential extraction of blonde. Okay. So what's cool about AI, and this is a really recent thing that has happened, is they have reasoning now. And they have, reasoning, available to the public, where they can actually, if you give that phrase to, Claude or something, it can determine, the hair color was blonde. So that's the difficulty with web scraping, especially with a data set as comprehensive as mine, where I am trying to, accurately extract over 156 different variables pertaining to the physical traits, behavioral traits, environmental traits of Sasquatch witness reports. It's really hard to web scrape for the majority of those reports, just because people say things in 1,000 different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That was a really good answer.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Even I got it. Okay, there's another one. So that would create my own app for the research reports analysis. Okay. And somebody had asked about the fringe stuff, and I think we answered that very well. They're just probably not in your wheelhouse right now. And I've always thought, if you've got that mystery and this mystery, I mean, let's get through one part of it first, right?
Yeah, like if the fringe cases did come up more, or the paranormal cases did come up, I would definitely, have a designated section for that in my data set. But yeah, I mean, I've really, from what I can remember, I mean, I've really only gone through like 3 that have been more like paranormally or something.
I would
like
imagine you're open-minded, though. You're obviously an open-minded scientist, so
yeah. I mean, I'm like very firmly on the side that they're normal animals, but also if I'm wrong, then that's okay too. I'm, that's cool. But yeah, I try to be open-minded. I try.
Yeah, and here's a great saying, as the old saying goes: garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
Yeah, I get told that a lot. I get told a couple things. Witness reports are really unreliable, and we can't trust the BFRO data set. But there's kind of 2 sides to that. Personally, I think that if we do have this resource available to us, we should look into it and see if there's anything we can, draw out of it. We've got access to over 6,000 witness reports on just one website. There's a number of other places too. So if these patterns persist over these different data sets, that tells us something.
Well, like the BFRO, obviously, of course it's biased, but they're biased towards flesh and blood because Matt's goal is to get more scientists like you involved in the database that they have. You can't be all things to all people.
Yeah. And, the thing is too, I always try to kind of say as well, I never really want to take strong stances on Sasquatches specifically, because at the end of the day, that's not what the reports are telling us.
Right.
The reports are just telling us what a witness chose to come forward with. Yeah. So, and that's interesting in itself as well, because you can start to pull out these things like the witness fear to height ratios or whatever. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and there's definitely problems, and bias is something that I'm extremely aware of and I think about a lot, which is why I'm hesitant to ever say something's like set in stone.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, and I know there's data, like, let's just talk about probably one of the most common things. When people are in the woods, they're seeing glowing orbs. It's just a common thing. I just don't know how in the world one would connect that. I got back from an expedition where everybody in our party reported orbs. Everybody except me. I was the only one that didn't see any. But I'm just not sure how you could include orbs and relate them ever.
Yeah, and that's
unless you see an orb coming out of their eye sockets or.
Yeah, that's something I struggle with, and particularly with the vocalization reports, because at the end of the day, most people aren't familiar with the sounds in their environment.
Yeah.
And animals can make some really strange noises, I guess kind of go off that. Like a lot of times I'll be reading reports and I'm just not sure how we associate, like literally the whole report is just like they heard a grunt in the woods.
Right.
And I'm like, why? How can we include this as a Sasquatch report? Because there's just not enough substance here.
Yeah, you can't do much.
Yeah.
Like Verax had mentioned, we were researching, and me and David are researching a lot of reports on something that we didn't even, it's data that was out there and all these people had, but nobody had really connected it and reached out specifically for those things. Kind of like what you're doing. We noticed a weird sound, kind of like David calls it a Bigfoot purr, or, we have different names, a hum. But is that something that, like, you can search for certain particular noises, like whistling or whoops or wood knocks? Are you working on certain vocalizations or audio sounds from Bigfoots?
I don't really, when I'm doing data analysis, I don't really look at Class B reports, if I'm honest, because I'm more interested in the physical traits. I do include them. They are absolutely in the data set, and you can, if you're interested, you can go through the data set and find every single report to see what kind of vocalizations were, reported, or I have two columns, vocalization and additional vocalization, and also vocalization cadence. So, potentially we can find patterns in the different cadence of certain vocalizations, and then I just have like an overall description as well. So like a lot of people often describe it as Ohio howl. So if you wanted to, you could just go look through and see which ones are more like Ohio howls or whatever. Yeah, I just personally don't really look at the Class Bs, at least right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do everything all at once, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to focus on whatever your thing, you get done with it, and then you can move on. And I'm just, I'm thinking about like the Class B reports, and that's something that I'm not sure. As the guy that produced Legend Meets Science originally with Matt, I've never really been much into the data other than going to scientists saying, what patterns do you see? Right? I hated math when I was a kid. So I just kind of, I look to other people like you to look at the data. I personally it would drive me nuts. It's just kind of not my wheelhouse, which is so great that you're so interested in it. And not many people are, because it's quite tedious. What you're doing is very, very tedious.
Yes.
But my point is there's going to be a lot of patterns that you're going to continue to uncover that were disconnected before, like the hum. We had no idea until, we heard it once. I'm like, God, that's definitely coming from the creature eating the food. And then all of a sudden we find an article from like the early 1900s of the hum reported. And then another guy, and then we get it out on the radio and all these people are going, hey, I had a sighting and we heard this hum and here's the recording of it. That's really cool when there's hidden data like that nobody ever connected the dots on. So we didn't even know it was a thing, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything like that you're secretly hiding? Something that is some dots that you're connecting that no one's ever thought of? You don't have to tell us what it is.
Yeah, I am.
You
and
are.
That's what my next big thing is. And I think people are going to be really interested. But I can't really say anything. But I have very recently found something pretty major.
A pattern. A pattern, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm really
really
excited.
cool. That is and should be. You should be excited. I'm looking at some of the comments here. Hey. We were kind of in a controversial area that we were talking about flesh and blood and other data being dropped. And don't you agree, though, all data is important. And so much of it is also being recorded on podcasts, believe it or not, by witnesses. Is there a way to scrape podcasts for data?
Yeesh.
Dumb question, but
if there's no, that's not a dumb question at all. This is something I'm thinking about.
I mean, think about the Sasquatch Chronicles. They have witnesses of witnesses.
Yeah, if there's a transcription of the podcast, absolutely doable.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really dabble in like video, audio, like MP3. I don't know how to use. I don't know how I would scrape like an MP3 or anything. But yeah, if there's a transcription, absolutely that can be done, and that is something I'm really interested in doing.
Okay. I'm thinking about how important at some point, obviously every podcast will be transcribed and stored somewhere in the future. I don't know when that'll be. But it's going to happen. It's just going to, whoever or whatever, YouTube will do it at some point. They'll just do it. And then you'll have access to probably 3 times the amount of sightings, because I'm starting to think a lot of reports just end up on podcasts.
Yeah, I think you're
right. I would agree. I think, a lot of people don't want to come forward to I don't know, they might not want to have to do like the whole follow-up investigation thing and like the initial interview with like a investigator and stuff. I think that might be limiting people from coming forward, because like a podcast, you're talking to the person usually face to face, like over video, and it's more relaxed than like a whole like follow-up thing. I'm actually thinking right now I could probably do that right now, actually. If I had
read this. Read what's on the screen.
If you're already scraping podcasts, it's definitely possible and definitely doable.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. What kills me? I'm looking and I see, Ferex. I don't know who that is. So for all we know, we're talking to the son of Albert Einstein. We don't know. We have no idea. So, but there's definitely a lot of smart people in chat right now. That's really cool. All right, I made some notes right before I came on. Skin color, that's really interesting. And then there's things that go with it, obviously, nose, eye size, brow ridge. Let's talk about the face, basically, first.
So this is interesting. Typically, people report a more ape-like face, but then they also more frequently report human-like characteristics. So that being like the nose, the nasal structure is actually something I am super interested in. And these numbers have updated since I made this, but they hold true. The ratios hold true. The nasal structure is very interesting because we see this stark difference between what people report. Some people report a more human-like nose where it's pointed. It has all this extra cartilage. The nostrils are facing down. Other people report a very ape-like nose where the nostrils are pointing forward. There's barely any cartilage. And if you start to think about this from like a biological standpoint, it doesn't really make sense because, the reason we evolved or the reason that like humans have the nose we do is because of evolutionary reasons. There are advantages to us having this nose, which are highly debated, but and there's a reason that the other great apes have their more primal noses. Their noses didn't really evolve. So it perplexes me when I see this difference in nasal structures in a number of witness reports. It's like, why, like how in the same species would we have such vast like differences in the actual structure, like not the shape, but the just whole structure of the nose. It doesn't really make sense from an evolutionary standpoint. So that's something that's perplexing, but most people do claim like a human-like nose. A prominent brow ridge is not uncommon. That one's hard to say though. For some of these, I wonder if the witness isn't thinking to like bring up a particular feature because it's kind of what they would expect if they're looking at like a humanoid type thing, if that makes sense. So like the prominent brow ridge gets brought up, but then like the lack of a brow ridge doesn't really get brought up that much in these witness reports. Typically they're described as having really thin lips, very small mouth, and trying to think what else. They typically have like no jaw protrusion. The faces are flat, though that does, there are a few reports where they claim a more like gorilla-like mouth, that like protrudes. Eye color is typically brown. The whites of the eyes are typically not visible. And
how important is that? The whites of the eyes?
How important?
Yeah.
There aren't very many reports that talk about it. I wish we had more data on it because that would be really interesting to know if the whites were typically visible or not. But the total number of reports that even talk about it is far less than 10.
Oh, really?
Probably around 5. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not many.
Yeah, it's not many at all.
Ugh, it's not much to work with.
Yeah.
At some point, are you planning on, reaching out to, I'm trying to think, John Green's database? As an example, some of the early stuff. And I know that stuff has been kind of digitized and put out now. And I think you can get access to it through a couple of guys. But I mean, to me, I was thinking if there's whites in the eyes, it's going to be a little more human, correct? I mean, would that just...
Oh, I don't know.
I know you
I don't know.
But for me, with my diarrhea theories that I love, I would go, oh, that makes them a little more human, not backed up by anything, just a thought. So what about like skin color is usually described as gray or black or...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, typically it's either black or just generally dark or gray. Those are definitely the top 3.
Yeah.
Only a handful.
Very great ape.
Yes, and only a handful have claimed like a cream or like more tan color.
In fact, I mean, isn't that one of the qualities of these? The consistency is just amazing on the gray skin color.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't really know why that is. Sure. It is interesting though that those are the most reported. I'm thinking too, I also keep up with like skin texture. Typically people describe the skin as wrinkly or leathered. So that's pretty interesting too, because that's like a very specific description of the skin as well.
Interesting. Oh man, I've got so many. I got so many questions. You're a bad guest to have on if you have ADHD. So my brain's going. Do you have a kind of a theory at this point on where do you think they fit on the tree of life?
No, I hesitate to comment on that because I know there's kind of 2 lines of thinking right now, the Australopithecines and then also Gigantopithecus. And personally, I don't know if we have enough information to, hypothesize on that currently or to even make a guess.
Well, what's interesting, we don't even know if there could be descendants of both.
Yeah, I mean,
that are being seen.
and I've always thought too, it's like, how do we know it's not something completely different that we just haven't discovered yet? Because like, we're
like a whole new lineage type
yeah,
thing.
I mean, it could be, yeah, I mean, there were over 100, if I'm recalling this correctly, there were over like 100 different species of ape in Europe, like back in the day. So,
there were hundreds of different types of humans that are now extinct.
Yeah. So it's like, who knows where they lie on the line of things. It'll be really interesting though when we do know. That's for sure. Yeah.
Esteban Sarmiento wrote a book called Extinct Humans. It's fascinating because there were so many species of humans that you would categorize as humans that are just gone.
Yeah.
That's just really, really interesting.
That's cool.
And and that's one thing that has crossed my mind. Are these things just something totally kind of new?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's something I think about a lot, especially when I'm looking at these physical traits where it's like, it suggests, the cranial structure is different between individuals, and that really makes my brain hurt. But I'm not sure.
But the problem is we're going to know more soon. There's obviously a study going down at North Carolina State. I'm reaching out now to other DNA labs. And of course, in the past, everything has come back so human that they just, they're like, oh, it's human, it's human, it's human, it's human. Yet the morphology of the sample you gave them is definitely not human. Like, a tapered end on a hair, the no medulla, but the naturally worn end on a hair that's, 5 inches long, and it doesn't match any other animal but human in scaling, or the scaling is similar to human, but not quite. It's a little thinner. It's got a little less scales around it, but they're human scaling. And so then you get the DNA test and it comes back human. And it's very frustrating because there may be only that little bit of percentage, that's just tiny that separates them from us.
Yeah.
Which is that's my guess. If I had a bet tonight, I would say they're very, very, very human,
Yeah. I think
but that little bit can make a huge difference in the DNA. Look at a chimp compared to us. We have, you put a chimp next to me and, there's not a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
But I share, what is it, 99% of the DNA we share?
I think so.
Like
yeah.
Something like that. It's really high. It's super high. So, okay, we've talked about skin color. You are looking at data sets on that. Facial features. How about like teeth? Is that something you've looked at?
I do have. I have a column for that. It's not something that gets brought up very often. I have noticed though that people will bring up specifically a lack of canines, like pointy canines, which I think is an interesting detail to bring up in a report. But yeah, the teeth don't get brought up very often. There are particular features that I wish would. But yeah, for some reason, I think it's like, I guess the follow-up investigator isn't just asking about it, or maybe the witness just doesn't remember or something. But yeah, blocky is a term that people use. I hesitate to say often, but I've seen it. I've only seen a very small number, like 1 or 2 people say that the canines were really pronounced. So, yeah.
Well, think about it. If you do see a Bigfoot, you only have a 1 in 4 chance of seeing the front.
Oh, yeah. And like, you're only seeing it for, the majority of reports that I've gone through are less than a minute and probably like less than 20 seconds. So your brain's like just trying to even process what's happening.
Well, I've seen 2 Bigfoots pretty close up. One at night in my headlights, one in the day, towards dusk, but in still pretty good light. And I've seen 2 butts. So I've been looking at the backside twice now. And so, you have 1 chance in 4 of seeing the front. It's not much of a chance. And then you have a 1 chance in God knows what to even see one. And then so Mary Jo asked, have you ever had an encounter?
I can't say for sure that I have. I've had some very weird stuff happen. I've never seen one. I grew up in Northeast Georgia. I actually grew up like super close to where they filmed the first Finding Bigfoot episode, like really close. And we've had some like weird stuff happen on our family farm. The thing that stands out to me the most, though, and again, I'm not claiming that this was a Sasquatch, but it is super weird,
right?
Is I woke up one night. Well, basically, let me set the scene a little bit. My parents own a farm on like 25 acres. It backs up to over 200 acres of woods and like dispersed farmland and whatnot. But it's all privately owned. So my bedroom basically was about 50 feet from the tree line in the back that backed up to all that acreage. And I woke up one night to what I can only describe as like an extremely demented turkey noise, like a turkey gobble. But
demented turkey.
Yeah, like literally that's the only way I know how to describe it. It sounded like the most messed up turkey ever. Like it had some issues.
Can you imitate it?
No.
Come on.
I promise you don't want that.
I'll just try.
It sounded like a really like messed up turkey. And then at the end of the gobble, it would do this really big like horse snort, like a snorting noise. And that's what confused me. I was like, what?
Turkeys don't do that.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there going, okay, this is a turkey. And then I hear the snort and I'm going, did one of our horses get out? Because it sounded exactly like that, like what horses do when they, snort, or they're like blowing their nose. And I'm like, no, the horses are in the stall tonight. So I'm sitting there listening to this. And on top of that, I then realize I'm also hearing very distinctive bipedal running back and forth in the woods. It was 2 feet hitting the ground. And I'm going, oh my God, it is a turkey. Because like a turkey are on 2 feet. But then I'm going, wait, I can't hear a turkey through my window. I've seen many turkey through my window.
Oh, just tell us what happened.
Oh, I mean, that was it. Like, that's the whole thing. I was sitting here listening to this running and this noise for at least like 7 to 8 minutes. And then it just stopped and that was it. And it was the weirdest.
Okay, well, where were you? I was probably not. You probably told everybody, and I was reading comments trying to find out.
I had woken up. I was in my room on my parents' farm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. And like, it was so loud, it woke me up. And I was like looking out my window and I couldn't see anything. And I just sat there and listened. And this was before I had like a smartphone or anything. So I couldn't record. Like I didn't have anything to record with. The thing that was super weird on top of that too, that gets brought up a lot in these reports, is that my outside dogs were completely silent and they would bark at everything. And I remember sitting there going, this is so weird. Why aren't they barking? Like, why aren't they reacting? So again, I can't say that was a Sasquatch because I don't know, but also I have no idea what that was. So
Jeff,
it's a really weird thing.
Jeff, can you imitate a demented turkey?
No.
With a snort?
No, I don't.
God, don't you hate that too when you hear these things or have these experiences and you didn't get to see anything? We do. It does haunt us.
Yeah, I remember looking out my window and I was just trying so hard to see like what was making the noise, and I couldn't see anything through the woods and it was too dark. But it was super weird.
Do you live in a wooded, surrounded by forests? This farm, was it a lot of?
Yeah, I used to. Yes, my parents have like 25 acres, and it backs up to over 200 acres of woods. And then there's like some farms.
Gotcha.
Scattered in.
Well, let's talk about location, because I don't even know if you're even looking at that yet, but to me, I see the most animals and wildlife on the edges of farms, farm fields, sidewalks, houses, like the edge of the suburbs, that kind of an edge. Is that anything you're even looking at?
I'm not really looking at location. I keep up with it. Like I have, environmental columns and stuff, and I keep up with like farmland or caves or mountains and rivers and all that. But it's not something that I am looking at right now. I just feel like, there's other people who are way more well versed in like
like
accent
Scott,
modeling and stuff. Like Scott and
Scott Tompkins. Have you talked to Scott yet?
Not yet. We've been trying to set up a time.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, we haven't gotten time yet to meet up, but I know there's folks like him that are like way more well versed in that. So I'm kind of just leaving that to them.
Well, yeah, but I think combining the data or some creativity from you guys would be amazing. I really do, because it's just mystery. It's just, we've got to have some kind of bar raising soon, We just need it raised about what, I think we have like on a scale, we're at like 30 feet on a 100-foot ladder, right? Or probably about 30 feet up. And we need to just get up another 10 or 20 in the next year or two. Be nice. We don't have to hit the goal yet, but God, I'd love to, raise it a little bit with some of this stuff. Whatever. So, okay. What do you want to share? Because we've been pounding you with questions.
Oh,
Jeff, you can just throw up images too, and she can react to some of the stuff to spark a conversation.
Sure.
Is there some category there we haven't even covered?
Camouflage
is one area that I don't know if you've been looking into that. The hair color and those kinds of things.
Yeah, I've actually, I think I made like a TikTok or Instagram reel or something on camouflage, because I was looking at, basically in my data set, when I look at movement types, I always have them so that the first movement that the witness saw happen, I guess, it's always in the first movement column, and then the second one is the second, because I think it's really interesting to see, like, did the witness initially notice the Sasquatch while it was standing or while it was in motion? Because many animals use, standing extremely still as a form of camouflage. It makes them significantly harder to see, especially in a wooded environment. They've done studies on this. And especially if we're talking about like an animal that's all uniform one color, especially if that color blends in really well to their environment, like brown or black or, dark brown or whatever. It makes it even more difficult to see. So I have done some of that where I've looked into, reports where, did the witness first notice them while they're moving or standing still? And then, who left the encounter first? Was it the Sasquatch or was it the witness? Because I think that's really interesting too. Like, did the Sasquatch feel like it could continue to be in that area, and the witness would leave, like it didn't see it or something? So yeah, I've thought about it a little bit and have looked into it a little bit, but it's been a while. I can't pull out numbers.
Is there a hair color bell curve that's going on, or some kind of pattern that you're seeing? What's the most common color?
The most common color is black. Okay. It goes black, dark, where the witness couldn't distinguish between like black or dark brown, and then red brown. And then after that, it is, I believe, medium brown. And
is that red brown like the orangutan kind of color, that auburn kind of color?
Yes. Yeah. It's like, it's either like that orangey red color, or it can also trend a little more brown than that.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Very
cool. Man, I got to update this slide. I think I made these slides. Yeah, there was only with 57. I think I made those like months and months ago. But that gives you a really good representation.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah.
What I really like about it is that you don't have to, once you've analyzed the data, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand the chart. They're they're simple enough where a sixth grade kid can look at it, and get it. And that's what's really cool about what you're doing. You're not trying to overcomplicate it.
No, and that's why, like, when I do most of my, I guess, little data investigations and stuff, I post most of those on Instagram, and I try to keep it I guess digestible would be a way to describe it, but I am trying to kind of up the level of dialogue though when I am writing these papers that I'm putting out. Like I'm writing it like I want to publish it, to a journal, because I also feel like that's really important to have in this topic, and it's something that we're lacking is, an increased, scientific rigor or something like the dialogue around it. I think we need to kind of elevate. So I try to have both. I try to have things that are easily digestible, but also like, I really think it's important that we also, have these papers and, up the ante a little bit.
This is
I think it's great. Do you have any more, Jeff, that you want to just share?
This is an interesting observation.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, so pets are apparently a very good they're very good little guard animals, especially when it comes to Sasquatches. The majority of reports where a pet is mentioned, they do react previous to the witness noticing the Sasquatch. So that's pretty interesting. And then the majority of the pets are dogs. Not surprising. Horses are also really great indicators. I have a number of reports where the witness was horseback riding or they were out with their horses and the horses alerted when it sensed something was amiss. But yeah, dogs and horses are definitely the most common pets that alert. I have come across 2 reports though where a cat started freaking out and was alerting the witness. And then so I'll get like the occasional farm animal like cows and goats and stuff, but typically it's dogs and horses.
It's interesting. And then this was interesting statistic too. This is
this is basically what the paper comes to the conclusion of. My multivariate analysis where I'm looking at seasonality, moon illumination, and then this correlation between witness fear level and average height of the Sasquatch. So basically when you look at the p-values or the probabilities, that all of these patterns would occur all at once simultaneously at the same time, you can basically calculate a combined p-value, and you get, this odds, I guess. These are the odds. It's like the chances of all that happening are like 1 to 98,000, which is crazy. You're 6 times more likely to be struck by lightning at any point in your lifetime than all of this happening if these reports are all randomly hoaxed. Totally random. And I think that is extremely interesting.
Yes, and I think you'll find similar odds in all kinds of data sets. Just for me, the footprint data in particular is. I'm with you. Seeing Legend Meet Science for the first time really was what made me leap into this deeper. And yeah, the footprint evidence is. There's just no way that data can be hoaxed. The odds of that fitting such a good distribution is it's just so improbable. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I really love the footprint data too.
It's so compelling.
Yeah, collecting the casts
just so compelling.
Stuff. Yeah, it really is. And when you start looking at the like the anatomy of the foot and like how you can, like how Jeff has totally reconstructed, the foot, and I don't know anything about like anthropology, but it's really cool to me. I love learning about that for sure.
Yeah.
So,
FYI, we're at about 2 hours too right now.
Yeah, Kevin Morrison had mentioned that Roger Patterson's horse bucked. Yeah, fear.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, their horses were reacting. Yep.
Are there any cases where your data really fits kind of the real world and what people have been like the Roger Patterson case? You talk about their pets overacting, and boy, I've heard so many stories. So that really backs up what you're saying. So they will alert people when they're around, which is I think it's just very cool. because they do the same thing with the UFO encounters. The animals will freak out.
That's interesting.
Where do you stand on the whole UFO phenomena? Do you have any interest in that?
I do have a pretty deep interest. Actually, I have seen a UAP.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very clearly. I have like I don't know if you want to hear about it.
Tell us the story.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was actually when I was a student at Georgia Tech, and I would go out to this particular spot on campus every night, or not every night, every weekend. We would go out to this spot and stargaze basically, and just kind of like decompress from the week. But I happened to be looking in this very particular spot in the sky, and thankfully I was, because I would have totally missed it. But I saw a completely blacked out aircraft, just one smooth motion. It was totally silent, and it just went right over us. And thankfully I had my husband there, and he saw it too. So there were two of us that saw it. But the weird thing was, well, first of all, the shape was weird. It was like a crescent, and then it had like a wing, and then like a middle, and then like it came back over. I don't know if that makes sense at all, like that. So that was very strange. But the weirdest part that both of us still don't know how to think about it is when we were looking at it in the sky, you could actually see the air like kind of distorting it, how it was moving around the craft. And he put it the best way, which it was like looking at a manta ray or like a stingray, like a manta ray under the water. But the craft wasn't moving or anything. It was just how the air was moving around.
How high up was it?
It was pretty low. Actually, it was pretty low. I hesitate to say a number because I'm really not sure, but we saw it very well. And when we went to look it up afterwards, because I personally think it was probably like a police drone or something, or some kind of like military craft that they don't want people to know about or something. But when we went and Googled it, literally nothing came up, and that was weird. Like it was just kind of like nothing, like no results. So I think we saw something we weren't supposed to see. But yeah, that was very strange. Very strange. So I really like the UAP stuff. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, no, it's another mystery that's revealing very tiny and slow, I don't know. We don't really have much answers. It's controversial. So people keep asking, what does she think of Dogman? What are your thoughts?
Dogman, I'm a pretty I am, first of all, just kind of like really scared of Dogman. So like I really hope that they're not real. But also to me, they don't really make evolutionary sense. So I struggle with it.
Right.
But I don't know. I just like hope that they aren't real. If they are, then that's cool. But
that's a really good answer, actually. I hope they're not real. Perfect.
Yeah, I think that's as good as it gets. Yeah.
Well, because if they are real, that means we're probably being visited by things in other dimensions, or because, like you said, they don't match any kind of evolutionary animal that's here. You know what I mean? Other than a dog. So maybe they do. I guess dogs have evolved, but it's just so bizarre.
Yeah,
but the reports are so plentiful. They're not that hard
incredible.
to find.
We've talked to people that have very credible sightings.
I've talked to witnesses personally, and people who should know better, and they're saying, "Oh no, they're real." We see them on our farm occasionally. Those kind of. It's like, oh really? Oh yeah, my grandma did too. And you get those kind of situations. And you just hate to go, well, that just, you have to be mistaken. So it's interesting. And I always used to think they were just mistaken Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I used to think. And I don't kind of think that anymore. I'm just convinced that maybe we are being visited by, other dimensions, or there's got to be something, because me and Yvette saw something drop down out of the sky one time in our car, and it's headed right for the car. And I swear to God, we both saw it. it had wings, and it looked kind of like a man with, like a gargoyle-y kind of thing with wings. But the wings were wider than the freeway. I just don't think that thing's living in the woods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. It seemed too bizarre. But yet, I found other people that saw the exact same thing right in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And double witnesses too. So does that mean we're all crazy? No, I don't think so. But what are we seeing? A terrestrial type animal or some dimension? Or I don't know. It's like I can't study it, but I do think about it on occasion. It's not going to end up in Legend Meets Science, but I'm not going to put down anybody who sees something weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Full respect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To anybody who sees, something like that. And until you see something really odd, you tend to be a little cocky going, you must be mistaken. And we're like, no, we saw it in the headlights, clear as day, 2 people, and we both ducked, so we thought we were going to be killed because it was going to come through the windshield. And you just don't have that many memories and that much fear. We may be wrong on the size of it. It looked like the wings stretched, across both lanes of traffic. But we could be wrong, I guess. I doubt it, though. You got to trust your eyes, don't you?
You think? Yeah.
Don't you trust your own eyes?
Truthfully, no.
Oh, gosh.
No, going back to the witness fear
well,
thing.
Your UAP you trust.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I was
Okay.
totally, if I'm totally calm, I trust myself. I think like when I start to get nervous or if I'm fearful, then I start to second guess myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we saw the UAP, we were both totally calm. We were just like, I think more amazed. Like, what are we seeing? Like confused maybe?
Well, I just kind of think we live in an amazing world, and we have black bears and we have raccoons and things that just seem so normal. But what about the things that people have been seeing for hundreds, if not thousands of years and writing about that aren't normal? And so there, hence the word, it's paranormal. I don't know where that stuff comes from. Who knows? But I hate to just make somebody feel bad. And I would never say to somebody, oh, you didn't see a dog, man. It just can't exist.
Well, something to keep it in perspective is we have so many animals that are thoroughly bizarre.
Yeah, even more bizarre than a dog man, actually.
Platypus.
Exactly. Like a platypus is more bizarre than anything. A giraffe is bizarre.
A giraffe.
A rhinoceros is bizarre. You look at one. But we know they're real. So that kind of puts it in perspective. Like we're just familiar with those animals, but they're truly bizarre animals.
Yeah.
Bats are bizarre.
Yeah.
They're but we know they exist. So I'm open-minded. Some things are more or less plausible, but I'm open-minded. I don't know. I'm not going to call somebody a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then then there's always that religious aspect that that's a whole nother realm.
Sure.
Like people say, well, they're demons or they're who knows. I don't know. So you just got to kind of stick to what you know and what you can study and what you can put under a microscope, which is
keep an open mind.
Yeah. But it is good to do that. I have a feeling if we don't keep an open mind, we're going to be humbled someday really bad.
Absolutely.
Well, the thing is too, like, if you don't have an open mind, you're going to miss a lot of stuff.
Yes.
You're going to miss so much. So going back to like just using the BFRO data set and whatnot, like, if people weren't looking at this data and going through this data, we would miss all of these patterns. We would miss all of these things, I wish there were more paranormal reports in the data set that I could go through. And eventually I would like to get my hands on them just to compare, because it'd be so cool.
Well, the other thing too is, it's almost like there's somebody with a sense of humor that's running the show that goes, you guys, you think you know everything. Yeah, let's throw this at you, almost like the idea that the whole world is like a matrix and we're all in a big kind of a weird glitchy video game.
It's definitely possible. I don't rule that out.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty smart people that go, well, the chances of us not being in some kind of a Matrix type situation is low. And
Elon said that. Elon has said it's far more likely that we're in a simulation than we're not. He kind of broke it down. He's like, it's just more likely that we're in a simulation. Yeah, who knows?
I'm looking at my thing here, my little notes. What about daytime sightings? Do you have any kind of data on, daytime versus nighttime? Because I've often wondered that.
Yeah. So, let me think. So, actually, the first thing that comes to my mind, something that's interesting is the moon illumination stuff. It actually doesn't matter what time of day it is. The reports follow that same pattern, which is kind of interesting. That the moon doesn't even have to be out, and yet we're seeing these increases in sighting reports, under the new and full moon conditions. So that's pretty interesting. Trying to think what else. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Well, I mean, are daytime sightings just broad daylight? Are they rare in the BFRO database?
No, they are not. No.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not. They're not rare. I wish I had a number. I hesitate to say it's like a 50-50 split, but yeah, it's definitely not uncommon to have a daylight sighting.
Interesting. So, a guy that works for me had a full-on 2 PM sighting, told me about it. Another couple saw it in broad daylight and filmed it. Due east where he saw his, and then like a week later, another couple saw it and filmed it, which is really interesting. It was a reddish, like Auburn colored Bigfoot. So I'm just like, do they hunt during the day? Are they active during the day? Or are they just getting up to pee and gonna drink water and go back to bed? I don't know. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think that you have just as much chance at seeing almost as much to see one in the daytime or at night?
Yeah, I would say that there are increases in sighting reports around dusk and dawn, which I think is pretty interesting. Whether that's a human thing or animal thing, not sure. But just from what I've seen in the data, I'm not really sure if you're more likely or not to see one, at night versus the day. At least from, what the data is saying, I think the thing to look at would be season, moon phase, and, the witness activity seems to have a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, and then you have season per location, right?
Yeah, and that's
so
that's variable.
That's kind of sort of what Scott's doing, I think. I think he's doing a lot of seasonal and then location, on the map.
That's cool.
But is your data going to continue to grow like monthly? Do we have to wait, quarterly to see improvements in the data? Or, do you have any targets?
Yeah, so I try to update the data set once a month.
Okay.
I haven't been doing that lately because it took me a really long time to get my AI pipeline at a place where I can use it, because I knew once I figured that out, it would just increase my productivity by tenfold, literally. So for the last 2 or 3 months or so, I haven't been sending out updates, but since I'm at a place now where it works and I'm getting through reports a lot quicker, I send out an email every month with the updated data set and some notes, information on it. I've actually got to go do a lot of data cleaning before I send out the one for July. I usually update it monthly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to mention here, we're getting towards the end of our show. You just came out with a line of merch, which is really cool looking.
Oh, thank you.
You have to realize that Terrestrial needs to eat.
Yeah, it costs.
Pay your bills.
It does
can't
cost
work-
money.
Yes, this costs money. So yeah, anything you can do to support her would be awesome. Do you have that link, Jeff, you can put up?
Yep, I'm looking for it right now.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, I just came out with the merch store, and then I also have like one of those buy me a coffee sites as well.
Yeah, yes. I was
Because
just going to mention that.
it does cost money to use the APIs and to get through reports.
Yeah.
So any kind of support like that is super appreciated.
Yeah. Well, I think
it, I
that,
lost it. Here we go.
we're lucky to have somebody as enthusiastic as you are and open-minded and adding to this, deciphering this crazy mystery. Can you find it, Jeff?
Yeah, here we go.
There we go.
Here's some of our stuff.
Yeah. You should flip through. You can scroll over those. I think a lot of those are front and back. You got your logo on the back side.
Yep. Yeah, nice stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's all beautiful line of stuff. But we definitely want to get out there and tour her site. And super easy to remember, the Sasquatch Data Project. And you also have a Facebook page besides your website.
Yep.
There's both. Don't get them confused, but definitely recommend people go to both.
Yeah, I have a Facebook, and I post the most on Instagram. That seems to be where I'm most active. And I also have YouTube and TikTok, and they're all the handles are at Sasquatch Data. So yeah.
And have you have you been in a zoo book meeting yet?
Yes. Yep.
And what are your thoughts on? It's pretty neat.
Oh, I was thrilled because when I actually just nerded out to Amy like the other day, but I've been like following her research for years, and she's someone I've always really looked up to. And Jeff Smith was also like integral in.
Oh, okay,
helping
that's
me.
maybe how you met Jeff.
Yeah. Actually, he reached out to me on Instagram. I was really excited about that too because I've been listening to Sasquatch tracks for forever, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like so stoked to be invited to a zoo book meeting, and I go regularly now, and it's so cool to meet people. I've like met a lot of people who are really interested in this kind of research, and it's been really great to meet folks in there.
I haven't been able to go to a zoo book meeting in a while, but I'm hoping my Thursdays are the craziest day for me. But it's just, I'm really glad that you're in it. And it's a whole bunch of like-minded biologists and scientists and people who just once every 2 weeks discuss Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It's that thing that like I've been hearing about for years, right? And I'm like, man, I wonder what they talk about in there. Like I wonder what happens in those meetings. So it's been really cool to be a part of that.
Yeah. All right. We will post the link to the Sasquatch Data Project. I'm definitely hoping that we can fit you into Legend Meet Science too, if you're willing.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I think you've got a lot of great things going on and a lot of really cool data that we need to get to people. So with that, we'll leave you with a little bit of wisdom of the week, and just stay tuned. Stay put, everybody.
It's time for Untold Radio AM Wisdom of the Week. Remember that a clear and solid rejection is always better than a fake promise. Plus, your direction always matters more than your speed. And the most important quote, it's time for Untold Radio AM Wisdom of the Week. Remember that a clear and solid rejection is always better than a fake promise. Plus, your direction always matters more than your speed. And the most important quote is, none of us are too important to not be nice to each other. Good night, everyone, from the Untold Radio Network.
All right.
My finger twitched.
Well, that's what happens. Your finger can twitch. Yes, you're allowed a twitchy finger
once in a while.
But thank you so much.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully, we didn't grill you too much. But
no, I love answering questions. I do it all night long.
I think people really loved having you on, and we're definitely going to get you back.
Absolutely.
when you get your new. I know you're working on something. When it comes through, let us know, because we can always bring you back for a little report too.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't have to just do a whole show. Maybe we can bring you on for 10 minutes if you got something you want to share or promote or let everybody know about. It'd be great.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah, sweet. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody in chat. We will see everybody next week, same time, same place. Remember to please leave us a nice comment. Really helps the YouTube algorithm. And give us a thumbs up for free. Whatever you can do. Yep.
Yes.
Thanks so much. We will talk to you guys next week. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
I call you up in the middle of the night. Been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine. You and I will always know where we belong. This ain't no ordinary love we got going on. We head on down the road until we get bored. Just you and me and the sun and the wind. If the rain should stop falling, we'll head on home again. Everybody else can see where we belong. Oh, ain't no ordinary love we got going on. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I'll pray they never can pull us apart, and I'll wait for the time when we'll be together every day. But I know if ever we'll be led astray, that I'll find my way back home to you again. Together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I pray they never can pull us apart.